Now, I want to bring some sunshine into this case. I want to be a bit brighter. I don't want it to be too dark. But there are more questions about the Nicola Bulley case. Peter Lawson, the policeman that was in charge of that case, a 50-year-old, he suspiciously dies. Now, the reports say that it was natural causes, but if you search and you try and find out what the natural causes were, there isn't any kind of information of what those natural causes were. And we know, now I don't want to be too 007-ish, but we know when certain people are bumped off, natural causes come into play, because you simply don't just kill somebody or shoot someone in a messy type of way. When you're a professional, you make it look as though the person died of something. Now you look for certain things. So if the person, the victim, has heart problems, you might overfeed them their medication, so they pass away, and then it's just shown in the medical records as died of natural causes, heart problem. Now I was trying to delve in to have a look, and I'm going to have to delve in and ask other people and look at other sources to find out what he died of. There are more questions, and this case seems to have more holes in it than a Yorkshire tea bag. Welcome to Aldon's Reviews and True Crime. So, what was important? Because we're quite thorough, aren't we? When we do investigations, we're quite thorough. Now, I am really pleased with everyone involved in the comments. There are far too many to mention. Arctic Nick, Jason King, Sally, Betty, everybody involved. There are just even including Duncan Smith. He's made up a good channel of his own talking about Jay Slater and delving into the Jay Slater case. Very good channel. Subscribe to Duncan Smith. I will try and print off a list. Pretty old-fashioned. I like to look down a list and mention the people that do put down some very important points, and they shed light on this strange case. Now we need to know, if we delve into, know what the natural causes are, and then we can have a look and we can delve in to see whether there's any possibility of any foul play. Because now Peter Lawson was only 50, and as far as I'm aware of, he was quite fit and healthy. Now there have been other suspicious deaths surrounding this case, but I haven't, and I won't mention them yet because I haven't really delved in, and they're not public news. So this was public news, so that's why I'm going to mention it, because he did pass away. Can you see me okay with the sunshine at the moment? It's very bright. I might have to angle the camera differently. Could I possibly suggest that these people in charge, they're the ones, through public interest, can reopen cases? If they're taken out the equation, they can't reopen the case. Now, it was said in one of the comments that how many cases do I know that have reopened? There probably aren't very many, because the police like to put a close on it. They don't like to admit they haven't got the resources or the money. In the same way I've explained before, when you have a burglary, they don't investigate it unless it's high profile, unless the person's high profile. Same as your bicycle. My bicycles, my bikes being stolen. Now, they are quite specialist sometimes, and insurers won't insure them. So I've had instances when I found the bicycle online and it's got the exact little bits of detail that I know it's my bike. I've also got the receipt with the frame number on. And because it's like a 3-hour drive away, the police don't really want to know about it. And the local police in that particular area where I found the bike online, they don't want to know either. So I'm left. They don't investigate things like that. And they say, haven't got the time and the resources, and also blame whatever government is in making the rules. And they want to close. They want to close. Trust me, they want to close. They want to put a result on it. So the result. But the thing that gets me, they don't mark it down as unsolved. They say there's evidence that that person died of an accident or committed suicide, as in the Jay Slater case. They say there's evidence, but there's not evidence. It's unsolved. It's an unsolved case. So you can close it and put unsolved. I don't understand. We also have the suspicious nature of her partner, Paul. Now, allegedly, the magic word that protects us all, Paul had a relationship before with Nicola Bulley's sister. And apparently, he's having a relationship now. Or he did after her death, a little bit of time after her death. And I think maybe it's either gone secret or underground, or the pressure was too much and it's ended again. Now, to say that this isn't worth investigating or suspicious, as well as Paul's behaviour, is lack of emotion in the videos, smiling, smirking. Now, some people, although acting can be quite simple, some people can't put on an act. Couldn't he have acted some emotion, Paul? Can you put some work into it and pretended? Some people can't. They can't hide it. It's the same as body language. They can't hide something. So they look to the slide, either to the left or to the right. And you can read things off that. They were never, the sister of Nicola and Paul were never put on a lie detector test. I'm not saying they're 100% because they're not. They're marked down as 90-something%, aren't they? Is it 96? But it has a bearing. It's worth looking at, even if the 4% fits Paul. You know, they're not held up in a court of law, but it would be interesting, wouldn't it? Online, certainly I've known over in the dark corner, they've had lie detector tests carried out, and you can pay for them yourself, and it doesn't cost that much. So that can be looked into. Will he take one willingly? That's a question for you, isn't it? Why was he acting so suspicious? Why was the body language pointing to somebody that didn't really care? Why act in that way? Why drive and have a phone call, an emergency phone call with the police, when something so intense as that, as your partner just gone missing? I wouldn't be able to drive. I would not be able to concentrate. Just don't know. The CCTV, we've already talked about that. I won't go on about that. I don't want to delve into that because people have already looked into that, and please don't pay any attention. But Paul was making an emphasis, as well as the volume, and the little girl said that something was really noisy. They were raising their voices too much on the CCTV to be known. And he also made a point of the gym business, of kind of, when you puff out and you walk, so you want to be more recognized when you're going to the gym, and he did when he went to his car at that time. So he had an alibi. We know you had an alibi, Paul. We know you wouldn't be stupid enough to follow her to that river and do anything to her. Let's look at it from another side of things. There's a lay-by right by where the body was found, where the clairvoyant found her, and he indicated where she was. Authorities had to act upon that. It took 6 minutes and they found the body. There's a lay-by right by that entry point. Could be dropped in very easy from that red van. The red van. That was not unheard of. I know, again, you're going to think it's espionage or something highfalutin. There are contracts put out on people an awful lot of the time. In Britain as well. You can take out a contract on somebody from $4,000 up to 150 grand, where depending how professional you want the job. And I'm not saying that that was the case, but we've got to look into all avenues if we did investigate, if they did investigate, not a flip-flop funny investigation like all these cases have. Come on, please investigate properly, come on. So, if you were to carry out such a heinous crime, you would give yourself an alibi, CCTV. What a wonderful alibi. Also your phone, carrying it with you, saying you would willingly give your phone over then. You wouldn't put any messages on it that are untoward. You'd willingly give it over and say, here it was, some phone record. You would cover yourself, and then you would get someone else to carry out the contract. Now, weathering on how much you pay, as I say, you get a professional job and it goes down to practically Keystone criminal type death, and you get estranged from. This kind of looked in between, really did. And another thing that wasn't picked up on is, look at that, I've got a Garmin watch. I do a lot of sport and exercise. Since I was 16, I've been a triathlete, so that goes on 2 apps. That goes on a Garmin app and Strava app. And that will tell somebody exactly where this watch is. I'm not saying I've had to, I wear it, but I could give it to someone else, couldn't I? If I wanted to. Say, go and do this, do that. You look at all the data. She had a Fitbit. Nicola had a Fitbit. Now this wasn't into the equation, was it? Of somebody that committed this crime or murder, because the Fitbit showed she was still breathing, still had a heartbeat. Your heartbeat, it runs through the Fitbit. When you analyze that data, her heart was still beating when she should have been dead in that water. That's what they were saying. She was dead. Unless she was knocked unconscious, but she would have drowned and that heartbeat would have disappeared when she drowned because there was water involved. So what we're saying, they can get the peaks of that heart rate And I believe around about 9:22, apparently there was a spike in that heart rate. Okay, spike of her falling in, spike of her jumping in, spike of the cold water raising the heart rate, or was it a struggle? Because remember, she had a broken eye socket, not a head injury, just falling onto this rock. And if you look at that river is very narrow. Look at the bench, look at the pictures in my previous video. I'll put some pictures up on this video. Very narrow, very shallow. The police were up to their waist maximum. She was a very good swimmer. She wasn't afraid of water. Now, the currents in that river aren't that strong, so a competent swimmer would be able to handle that current. I would myself. I'm a swimmer. I've swam in all sorts of water, rivers, and you are pretty stable. If there's rocks on the surface as well, when you fall down, you'll be surprised how much water will break that fall. It's not like when it's on the ground and you fall a dead weight onto that rock and hit your head or your eye socket. So, if you carry out an experiment of headbutting that water and falling into the water, a rock on the surface, because the rocks are on the surface, there are known to be some pebbles on the entry point and two rocks that were kind of impossible to die with. I don't want to be morbid again. But if you headbutt the water, it's impossible to go and break your eye socket on the bottom rock because of all that water. There's a lot of pressure in that water. Also, if you were backwards and you fell over and remember she fell, so you force yourself as much as possible and try and bang your head at the bottom. Now, we're saying it was shallow. Some people are saying it was really deep. Let's take it being really deep. So that's even worse as such for the theory of her banging her head on the bottom, because the water pressure, it's impossible. You try it. Well, no, don't try it. But if we can kind of try that, somebody with a helmet, I don't know. The police would have done that. That should have been in the proper investigation, not the Mickey Mouse one. This is kind of Disneyland, really, isn't it? It's Disneyland policing. And a lot of the cases I talk about, they should go to Disneyland, really. Dress up as Mickey Mouse. Sorry, I don't want to be pedantic, really. I don't, because probably not the time and the place. There has been time in this case. It's passed on a bit, so being a bit brighter, not a problem, really, as such. But yeah, so the injuries, not just one knock to the head, but an eye socket knock. And the two bruises on the arms. Oh, come on. Two bruises on the arms. You'd have to be, and the thighs. So you'd have to be right below the surface of that water, drowning and banging. The only thing that I think of is somebody holding you down. So if somebody was holding me down up to waist height, I would be thrashing around like crazy and banging my arms on anything that was there, including the person themselves. Do you think there's anything in this, or is it just a closed case? Full evidence, closed case. Very, very strange, isn't it? So, do we want to hear any more? We'll just leave it be. Paul, do we want to hear any more? Do we want to hear from Nicola's sister? Do we want to know about the other deaths surrounding the case? Now, I've had things to do today and I must get on. I have some decorating to do indoors, so I must get on, but I have something to say about the Mark Williams Thomas incident, shall we say. So I will be making another video on that one, and also I have something to say about the Victoria Taylor case. Thank you very much for listening and watching, and remember, please, no nasty dreams. take it easy, and thank you for watching.